how many startups, even in the US, start every single year. It's like 25,000. I mean, it is like wild. It is becoming easier. These are bold statements to create a company. Consulting, product, I am a, what media, whatever. The barrier to entry is getting easier. But there is a common steel thread across every single one of those is that if you are not delivering value or a unique value and your customer is not realizing it, then you are dead in the water.
AI is changing everything, but what's it going to do to my thing? That's what every entrepreneur is asking themselves every day. We feel like we're chasing our tails. We have invited Laura Wheeler to come back because she knows things, more things than where the bodies are buried. She knows a lot of things. She is co-founder of RVNU. She's been chief revenue officer for large companies. And now at RVNU, with her partners, she is helping small, medium, and large companies figure out how to be smarter, better, faster when they go to market. But she's here today because we were having such great conversations about AI and how companies like RVNU are finding a way to take AI, add it to what they already do very well in order to make them better, and at the same time find a way in this marketplace not to be irrelevant. So with that introduction, which I apologize for, Laura, welcome back to SmarterUmedia.
Oh, thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be back. Always have a good time.
Well, I'm glad you're here. And we get you straight to the chicken timer. So I'm going to let us get there
Ooh,
and let you make me smarter, unlike the AI seems to do for me sometimes. So you get
my
me there.
goodness.
Here we go.
We're talking about AI today. And I had this revelation the other day. And so I want to tell you about the moment I realized that search or relevance for my company or product really completely changed. So about a month ago, my husband and I were going to Costa Rica, and I Googled best house rentals in Costa Rica, and I got 47 tabs, a million blog posts, like some freaking ads popped up, and I got frustrated, and my patience is dwindling. Maybe it's our phones or our social media, but then I went to Claude. That's my favorite. And I asked the same question, but more conversationally. I said, hey, my husband and I are going to Costa Rica the end of March. We'd like to stay at a house, not a resort. We want to learn to surf. We're not surfers. This is the first time in walking distance to the beach. Now, it gave me an answer within 30 seconds, one answer, and then asked me further questions. So I had this revelation of this is what's terrifying me about as a business strategist. Our prospects and our customers are doing the exact same thing. And they're not just Googling these, industry outcomes anymore. They're asking AI to explain it, compare it, recommend solutions based on me. And so the companies that are winning, and I said, well, why don't I take this back to RVNU? Because it's not really about like the Google search anymore. It's about becoming a piece of the conversation. And I always talk about what keeps me up at night, which is distribution. How do our customers or prospects find us? How do we get referred? How do we become the thought leader? And so it's really optimizing for that generative search result where we become part of the conversation. And so the companies that are still thinking about, oh, it's the click, it's the how do I show up first? It's not about that anymore. They're optimizing for the click and we're losing the conversation. And so to me, this whole generative AI really unlocks what I need to do in my business. Uh-oh, that dang old timer.
You see how much more obnoxious
Oh,
CT has become. He was such a nice dude once. Do you remember? You remember he was
was,
gentle, and now he's become this
yeah,
tyrant. This is what
yeah,
happens with fame and fortune. This is what you get.
yeah.
CT, get out of here, young man. All right. Um, yeah. Okay. Okay. So, to unpack so much in that, I will echo the change in how we digest the
Yeah,
Google sphere. The
fair.
search engine world has become so frustrating. Maybe, do you think it's because it's been so well gamed now?
Oh, oh, absolutely. I mean, think about all the I haven't personally spent a lot of money on, Google paid searches, but that used to be king or queen. It used to be you pay to play, you got to show up on the front page until, this new world came out where now you can be a part of the conversation, and we have these LLMs are going out and searching and crawling and bringing back something to you, and it's really interesting about how that then changes the way you think about content, your products, optimizing and becoming a part of the conversation where it used to be, like I said, pay to play.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about the
Sure.
world first, right? That's where we are talking about the world and what
Yeah.
the environment is. But then we're going to get into what I think is so interesting about RVNU. When you were with us last time, you talked about the process of democratizing the
Yes.
go-to-market process, which is exciting, and we hope that is going to be the case. So
Yeah.
let's stick here in the market for a
Yep.
second, because as it changes, do you think part of that could be because it's just new, so it's harder to game today, and we're going to get right back in the same place, or just ignore that, be where we are?
When I think about like the unlock or the world that we're in today, I feel like our sphere for exposure to content has been pretty myopic. And there's specific avenues that people could post content or pay to put their content, or maybe it's a podcast like this, maybe it's a newsletter thing like Substack. But now, what AI is doing is it's bringing different voices, different. It's similar to like a TikTok or an Instagram. It is opening up the realm to different voices, and it's really allowing the curation of connection between person asking or inquiring or whatever they're doing over here to potential people that are putting out thought leadership. And so I think our myopic view is getting a lot broader. And so, but with that, that's why search was so effective, and people would pay for their thing to be at it as it got broader. Now that helps us as individuals get more information targeted to what we need. And it's not just the big voices anymore, which is, I think, really exciting.
We talked to Peter Hutton, who was head of sports at
Mm,
Meta.
oh,
And
yeah.
his big takeaway, or one of them, really was that in the new world, you are in control. It is
Yeah.
authentic voices from you that
Hmm.
drive sport, which is one
Yeah.
sub-market. But I think that's what you're saying. I think
Yeah.
it's this hope, right? And I remember the hope when it came to search as well,
Yeah.
right? But this hope that what we're managing to do is create a way that allows us to get to the thing faster, but also not to have as many people coming in to say, you can get to the thing, but you want to see this first? Squirrel, squirrel. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the world we live in, is trying to
Yeah.
divert you to the other thing. So that's the
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah. And think about the first scenario I talked about where you just put in a couple searches, maybe it's a question, it's not really generative, but it's just a search bar. Think about the frustration of having to like click through all of those things, and it's all buried, and you're having to put the yarn string together, and you don't know up from down, and then you just abandon. You're just like frustrated. It's a very frustrating experience. And if you at any point are a consumer of information, that's going to shape the way you think, it's going to shape the way you act. And then ultimately, if we're in business, shape the way you buy. And so it goes across all of these spheres. And so you're now like almost an influence, like everyone can be an influencer, if that's still an okay term, but influencing your voice to the public. And whether you have a service, product, or thing to sell, it's I'm not saying becoming easier, but you can optimize for that.
Right. What we're doing right now is a representation of that. I mean, it's
Fair.
an interesting self-referential moment where Dante referring back to himself, right? So
Right.
that is what this is. But
Yeah.
you, as someone who is a co-founder of
Hmm.
RVNU, and you are in the marketplace working, one of the ways you get your message to people
Yeah.
can be this. And it's
Yeah.
interesting when you say influencer, if that's a good word, who knows what we call, but content creator, influencer, or honestly, just people with an authentic voice is the
Yeah.
way I hope we think we are. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. It's it, it hits this kind of piece of the funnel that maybe when I say funnel, I'll explain, but piece of the funnel that I don't know if we could have gotten to as easily before. And so the piece of the funnel I'm talking about is the pre-awareness. When you think about um, I'm selling something or I am influencing or I have a process or a thing that I am putting out there, typically a search result will someone has to be knowledgeable about what they're searching for. Now a generative result actually brings content earlier to someone that might not actually be thinking about that yet, and so it's almost like developing an awareness that maybe the end user wasn't thinking about first. And I think that's actually really important for people that are innovative, disrupting a market, bringing something new, because so often a category disruptor or a new piece of technology is very misunderstood. And I was like, oh, you're ahead of your time because you're not selling the problem that you're solving products right now. We're focused more on the like I'm just looking for something to take Advil for my headache, not that like what is actually causing my headache and how can I change.
Right. And and the fact that we've just started the interview and you already are talking about headaches. What have I said? What have I done? I mean, we just started for.
We just I know.
Oh Lord. I want to draw a line in the sand. So
Hmm.
just what we talk about when it comes to AI. We're having an AI focused conversation right now. When you
Hmm.
use the word generative, it has
Yeah.
become so equivocal to me that it's near impossible to know what it is. Because generative AI, and we talked to an AI expert at Texas Tech, the guy who's the
Hmm.
guy, and essentially, in that conversation, we talked about generative AI, and I said, "When do you think they'll do it?" And he said, "Oh, they've already done it." And I went, I nearly fell over.
Yeah.
And so I think of generative AI as being this other thing, but we should stop doing that because we use what we are looking at in large language models now as
Yeah.
generative AI. But this is not a consciousness. This is not a thing that is creating everything, which was what generative AI used to be used as a term. So I'm just going to put that aside because that's
Yeah.
wonky, but I just want people who are the sort of AI focused to understand we're going to go ahead, we're going to screw up those terms and we're going to be okay with it because we
Yeah.
want to get to this question. So this is the question that I was so excited when you and I sat down and talked about all of this and what you were doing at
Mm.
RVNU,
Yeah.
because I think you're a fabulous use case, a
Mm.
business case for
Hmm.
how do we do this? You're sophisticated, you're in technology, you're helping people in technology. So none of this is foreign. It's not as if you're scared of technology,
Right.
but you realize everything's changing. So when I started out by saying, AI is changing everything, it's doing that already.
Yeah.
So how does a business,
Yeah.
RVNU, say,
Hmm.
I have to identify that there are powerful tools, and if I don't incorporate them in the way I do what I do, I am not keeping up with what my customers will need.
Yeah.
How do I do that, and how are you doing it?
Yeah. The main thing in a business is you have proprietary data information that is unique to you and your business. It's your own philosophy. It could be a framework. It could be product. It could be a service. And generative or not, the way maybe we should do like a PG and an AG, like pre-generative. We would as
Call
humans
it
learn
AI. Let's just call it AI. I mean, literally, we don't have
pre
to worry.
yeah
Whatever it is
pre
that is today, we're talking about AI.
yeah
Yeah.
pre AI. A business would Learn because humans would take time to learn. And so and how we did that was we would build mechanisms or operating system or tracking or something to capture signals in our business that would either say we are on track or we are off track. And that could be we have a customer that's been with us for a while. Yay, that's a great signal. We just had, maybe it's a customer that's churned or a couple of customers. Okay, well, that triggers some sort of like human learning pre AI for us to go and understand and pattern match and go make a change or pivot. And we all know that when you're building a business, the ones that are stagnant are going to die. So you're always having to anchor in on how am I serving the client or the customer in the best way possible. And so that learning used to take a long time. The collection of the information, the synthesis, the pattern matching, the experimentation, and then finally, like, how are we problem solving? So maybe it's like a 5-step process. Uh, However long it took, post AI, building an infrastructure that can do that 10 times faster helps an organization pivot on those signals. And so that keeps you super relevant. And so if you understand or believe in that philosophy, then it's like, okay, how do we build those into our systems? And when do we understand when to take action or not in order to ask further the AI model or the LLM of what additional information do we need? And that still requires a human intervention. So it's almost like we're not on autopilot, but it's still AI plus human now is faster.
Right. So we're in the early phases of computers with chess.
Yeah.
Right now, before there is true generative AI or something that is essentially doing all the work because none of us can do it as well, if that ever comes. And I feel the need to say that because we don't hear people say that. We're so just convinced that it's all going to happen, and I'm not. I
Yeah.
still am skeptical enough to say keep up. But,
Yeah.
adapt or die. I agree, it's adapt or
Yeah.
die, but
Yeah.
do find a way to adapt. You have, I think, framed the question very well, or let's say framed the answer. And the answer that you've framed is you have to find a way to do what I would call an overlay, which is a very old term, but some sort of overlay for what you do
Yeah.
that has an AI component that does two important things. One thing is the perception is you're keeping up. And I don't think that's
Yeah.
a little thing. I think it's a big
No.
thing. People are going, oh, look, they're using AI, whether I, as I say that, even understand what it means. So
Right.
it's that, but then it's also to make it so that the product that you offer is better. I want you to go into the specifics because
Hmm.
you're here today partly because you're doing it. You're currently, and you don't have to
Yeah.
disclose things you don't want to disclose
Of
about what you're
course.
doing with RVNU, but I think it's a great example of,
Yeah.
okay, we have to serve our market. What do you do and how do you think you're going to accomplish that step?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I can definitely talk about RVNU, but we can also take it into a simple crawl, walk, run, where I'm sure everyone has been to a restaurant before. And they sat down and they're looking at the menu, and the server comes over and takes your order, has pleasantries. Maybe then you order your food. It comes. Okay, you have a natural restaurant experience. Okay, let's throw in maybe AI or some robotic or some sort of efficiency in there. There is a restaurant here where we live that now has robot servers. Have you been there? It's
I have
actually
not been there, but I've been
it's
places that have robot servers. Yes.
yeah, maybe we could do the third one at the restaurant.
Perfect.
I'm just saying.
Sure.
So you go to the restaurant and you still get greeted from a human. You sit down. You still take this human still takes your order, but the robot now delivers food. Okay, so that's like an easy thing that you can do. Like, let's look for efficiencies in your business. Great. But it's collecting information. Okay, it probably knows now what you ordered. But that's your only real interaction with it. Now, if you are building a system to innovate and or be more efficient or to pivot a product, I would say this robot comes up to you, greets you, knows your name because you booked on the system. It comes up to you and introduces yourself. You ask it, hey, what's the most popular thing here to eat? It gives you recommendations. It asks you if you have any allergies, if it's spicy, you have a conversation. The thing goes back, brings you your food. Then it asks, how are you doing? Do you have feedback for me? And then you give it feedback, you have a conversation. It collects all of these signals that now a human used to have to do at multiple different avenues. And then you leave a satisfied customer, even if you haven't seen or talked to a human before. And you give a 5-star rating at the end of the thing for feedback. Now, that is a very not what RVNU is doing, but similar. What we are doing in our business is starting off with an initial offering of what we do. And it's been very human heavy intake. Now we have workflows internally that help greet, help that intake, help provide recommendations. Helps give real-time feedback if a customer would come back and ask, and then ask for the feedback on how we are doing so we can get better. Now, all of that is being, whether I say like electronically collected, but it's now in a database. And so like, we'll talk about that in a second, but all of these signals are being collected so that it can bleep, boop, bleep, boop, bleep. And I give it a prompt and I look in there and I start interrogating it. Where are we falling short? What are they asking the most of? Where are value being created? How often are they asking? And so now as a human, I can come in and start to make judgments on how we can be more efficient because I have the data to back it. So that's what we're doing to become better, because it's our customer interaction that is giving us the signal, not just, I think this is what they're doing.
So two things that I identify, it seems to be two today. I usually like to do things in threes, but today
Ugh,
it seems to be
it's
in,
only two.
yeah,
Okay.
sorry. I'll keep working. I'll just keep working and see if I can catch up.
Okay.
But the first one is that essentially right away you're adding to the process things that make it more efficient from the customer side. So they're getting their thing, their interaction can happen faster, better. I don't know. You'll work on that. You hope it will
Mm-hmm.
be, right? You do that. But then in a way, you as a group that is a consultant based business, you
Mm-hmm.
have actually created agents within your AI world that are consulting with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that those two things are just identifiable in and of themselves as great things to go, oh, who couldn't do some of that and make themselves better,
Yeah.
data wise and all of those things. So that's, I
Yeah.
just identify, did I miss something? Is that kind of the two
Yeah.
pretty much?
Yeah. I wish I had a third, just so you felt better. But
Thank you. Please just make me feel better today. Would you, Laura? Thank God. Thank God.
but
Please.
it's yeah, to hit the hammer on, home is that where human and AI kind of come together to create those efficiencies. We still have AI is really good at the tactical, the collection, the curation, and yes, in a generative nature, it is helping us find and get to a solution, but it still takes the human, the expert, the knowledge to help connect those dots today, and knowing where we want to go to as RVNU. So not only is it just, yes, creating efficiencies of what I don't want to do anymore within my business, but it is also then helping me see around corners that I might not be thinking of. And I think that's where like this potential generative word could be used, and then that helps inform product decisions. It helps us informs me of where we need to make pivots in our distribution or messaging. It helps me understand to go back and say, well, Based on all these signals, are we targeting the right people? Are we bringing in the right customers and clientele that we're delivering value to? And if not, then what? And those are then the conversations I have with my co-founder instead of searching through data and wasting time. It's helping me pivot faster.
Right. And be
Yeah,
efficient. So
correct.
when you look at those things, your restaurant example is frightening to me because when we start adding robotics, and that is not pervasive yet, but according
Right.
to the people who are making them, it will be. It's
Yeah.
be careful when they're selling you ice cubes and they're the ones selling them. That's all, right? But
Right.
if that's the case, when you look at the restaurant example, I mean, you just see the jobs going away. If you walk into an airport, you don't have to look around very far to see the kiosks that are replaced the dozen people who were
Hmm.
behind the counter. So we
Yeah.
know that we've already experienced it pre whatever the magical AI
Yeah.
stuff is. So I'm going to pivot a little bit away from that as a metaphor, only because I think the real life sort of thing with robotics has its own list of things. So in the
Yeah.
RVNU world and the people
Yeah.
that you help, you're using the technology to make you better. And then I'm sure you're turning around and helping that then translate into all of your customers. So
Yeah.
someone who you've just gone through this process, you're giving them those tools to say, okay, you better do it for Steve's 2 reasons because he only has 2 today, but you better let people know you're on the train because
Yeah.
this is the biggest train we're going to experience in our life, most likely. So you better make sure you're on the train, and you better also get better so that you keep up, right? So
Yeah.
what are you counseling your
Hmm.
clients as they go forward and head to market?
Yeah. Well, and luckily our ICP is very similar to the stage that we're at. So it's almost, we say, hey, here's RVNU on RVNU. And we go into and say, we can kind of look under the hood of what we're doing and what we're building. Let us help you build those workflows internally so that you can do the same. And it's almost then like, okay, well, now are we in the workflow building business? Is this a product? Like, could we build, a product based on, who knows? But
Yeah.
it opens up these, as we call them, kind of design client conversations of like, hey, can we A/B test us building the workflow that we just used on you, with you, and help you build that? And so I do think that there's both an internal testing on ourselves and then external on the client delivery that we have. It could be similar to us with a different type of business, but it's just a different workflow. But we're all at the end of the day building something to produce, serve, or become, put content out. It's almost the same type of workflow formula. You have to collect signals and you have to have it structured in a way that AI can come in and be a member of your team, and you can feed it and learn it like a Tamagotchi, and and it be- and
Go on.
it becomes a person of your team. And so now, as soon as that becomes something of relevance, you are building that internally, which I actually think is probably one of the more hard pieces. Is having the right infrastructure for it to actually not hallucinate or yield bad results, because I've seen it go south.
Right. And make sure that you put the right disclaimer in your terms of service that no one will ever read so that it says, sorry if we hallucinated.
Yeah.
I apologize for all of the mayhem that
Yeah.
you created. That's terrible.
Yeah.
You are the most acronym laden human I've ever known in my life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the only thing I can think ICP stands for is I can't play because I can't know what it is. What is ICP?
Yeah, sorry. ICP, in the world of which RVNU sits, is ideal customer profile. So the person that is finding value for the product service that you are delivering.
Got you. Thank
Yeah,
you. I feel better. And there are a lot of people out
great.
there that are right now nodding and going, "Oh, thank God somebody asked the
Okay.
question. Thank God somebody asked." Like, I have no idea what
Yeah,
ICP is.
yeah.
All right. So we're gonna dig and dig
Mm-hmm.
further because I don't feel like it's a hole. I feel like it's a true opportunity. So as someone, who has already expressed a couple of times in our discussion that some of the stuff is a bit frightening from jobs perspective or
Yeah.
things of that sort, I am a huge fan of technology that improves our efficiency and our ability. And I will just tell one story, which is my son and I sat down when he, in the early stages of the discussions about AI, when he was worried about his friends, right? When you look
Mm,
around and they're going to be graduating from college right in the next few months.
yeah.
And he was going, I don't know, are there going to be jobs? And my belief is that um, if we can have more time and better tools to solve the gigantic problems that we have in our world, that's good. If we can just stop bickering and fighting, right? So I have to put that caveat in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, this should be a time when we can start addressing some of the stuff that, we really are worried about. And that
Yeah.
allayed his fears a little bit. That is a long-winded way of getting back around to the digging deeper. If I have started a business, technology based specifically, and that business is within the realm of what the AI, the large language models, what they are saying they're going to do, how
Mm,
do I address what could be an existential question for my company?
yeah. Whew. Yeah, laying it out hard there.
Big, man. I mean, you got to, I mean, this, because you can't be in that space and not feel that today. You can't wake up this morning and go, you know?
Yeah, well, uh, I would just say that it exposes companies that aren't going to last faster. Look, okay, and that's like a bold, that's a very bold statement. Yeah,
Sorry,
let me
guys,
take
you're dead. Sorry. The answer is
a
the answer is you're dead. Sorry about that.
no, what I mean by that is okay, how many startups even in the US start every single year, it's like 25,000. I mean, it is like wild. It is becoming easier, these are bold statements, to create a company, consulting, product, I am a, what media, whatever. It's getting easier. The barrier to entry is getting easier. But there is a common steel thread across every single one of those, is that if you are not delivering value or a unique value and your customer is not realizing it, then you are dead in the water. Now, I think that the realization of that over time has gotten quicker. And so what used to take, wow, I launched this product and we have these people using it and it's been years. And then finally I go out of business. If you are not delivering value within and we're talking time to value, whatever you are selling, doing, whatever, is getting shorter and shorter. And that is why you need more efficiency and to capture those signals quicker so that you can get to that customer value realization, period. And so I this is a bold statement. I don't have empathy for products or companies that are out there that are blind to that, because that is your job as building it, whatever you're doing is to deliver value. And if you're not, then and you're pulling your wool over your eyes and you're not capturing signal and capturing that, then it's not a product. It should never have been a company. Can you learn from stuff? Yes. But I think AI is helping you, the general you, we, become smarter about the solutions that we're delivering into the world. And to your point earlier, solving the problems that matter the most.
Yeah, this is why you're a very good consultant. I'm gonna be, really
Yeah.
honest, and why you have been in the sort of rooms you've been in at large companies in order to help them deal with an impossible thing, which is revenue and making that
Yeah.
stuff work. You have to be brutally honest,
Yeah.
which you just were. And so
Mhm.
the answer is, you can't look back in 5 years or let me say that differently. I'm going to just frame it positively, which is you don't want to look back in 5 years and wonder why you didn't hop on the train.
Yeah.
And so you have the opportunity, you're
Hmm.
watching this, and neither you nor I can afford Laura. I'm just going to tell you that that's going to be the case. But we're lucky enough to have Laura Wheeler with us today, who you're sharing some of those things
Yeah.
that you have to do with your clients in order
Hmm.
for them to sort of go, oh my God, wow,
Yeah.
okay, wait a minute. And they have to sit silent for a minute and adjust. But I appreciate you doing that with us, because I think that's the hard reality of where we are.
Yeah. Well, look, I have these conversations with founders all the time. And they will come to us and kind of mid process where we're like, yep, we built this, it's for this, and we've taken it to market and we're just not seeing like traction. And sometimes the conversation is like, okay, well, let's go back and maybe it's tweaking here and there, and let's set up some workflows and let's let like AI, whatever, help you get there faster. Let's capture some signals. And I would say 50% of the time we go back to once we've collected signal, and it can be very quick. Look, we are a month to month contract because we do believe that we can deliver value within like 30 days back to our client. And sometimes the conversation is like, oh, you just need to fix X, Y, and Z. You want us to do that or not? The other conversation, the other 50% is you need to fix your business. This is not an actual business right now. It's either unit economics, there's no need, the TAM is total addressable market
Thank
is,
you.
you're welcome, is messed, like it's off balance. And continuing down this path, and this is like the hard realization and conversation that we have. If you continue down this path, you will not be a company and you're going to waste your time and money, or somebody else's money. And you don't want to look back after 5 to 10 years of grinding, late nights, like not learning and capturing signal, to look back and be like, well, I did, yeah, it's not a company, and it's
Blue.
not where I blew it. So
Well,
it's a
you're,
hard conversation.
but again, it's one of those things. I think if there's sort of a service that we can provide today, it's sort of to really dig. You say that I dug deep fast, but I think that's really where it is. You're having to ask those questions, or
Yeah.
let's say that you really want to ask those questions, because that gives you
Yeah.
the opportunity to answer, to give you, at least give yourself a
Yes.
chance, give yourself an
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah. And it uh, so the story about Slack, the history of Slack, where it was like a totally different product beforehand. And um many businesses, if they start out one way, if they have the signal and they are capturing it and they have a very aware that, like, okay, we are anchoring in on value to our customers, um, can do a Slack pivot at any moment, which is, for those who are listening and haven't heard the Slack story, it's a great one. They started out as a gaming platform called, I don't remember what it was called. Do you?
Wow.
We'll link the story. It's fantastic. I talk about this all the time because the people that I am talking to every day are at that moment, where their product's not taking off. They thought it would be really great, and then what was happening is there were bad reviews on this gaming platform, and then all of a sudden, um, they had this like kind of internal chat in their gaming system, and that was taking off, and they were like, okay, this gaming platform is going nowhere, but like there's energy and signal that they've captured around this kind of internal communication. And so what they did was they met as a team, captured those signals, and said, you know what, we're not going to do this gaming thing anymore. We're going to do internal communication, which is they called it several different things before they called it Slack. And then fast forward 10 years later, they got sold to Salesforce for $25 billion. So, you know, great story. But at the end of the day, if they weren't capturing signal, they weren't having conversation, they weren't learning and pivoting, they would have just ended up in dead water. So it's definitely something to note. So let AI help you, or workflows help you capture that signal faster. That's the key.
I shouldn't have said that you can't afford Laura. Maybe you can. You should go to RVNU. And I know that you're creating other levels now, because there
Yeah.
really are opportunities for people to use some of these things that don't need to have as much human interaction and therefore as much cost. So if
Yeah.
you go to people like RVNU, you get a chance now to maybe get a menu that gets you
Yeah.
into the process and making those decisions faster, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And what we're hoping to do is anchor back in our on the mission that we set forth is democratizing access to this information and this expertise and creating visibility for founders to make sure that they de-risk their path towards $20 million or even escape velocity or whatever that goal is, but a successful company in the eyes of what the founder is trying to achieve. And so that's tools, mechanisms, it's podcasts like this, it is hands-on support. So that all is in our product offering and continuing to change because it is RVNU on RVNU.
Want to go back to where you were just headed, because I feel like that is one of those things that doesn't have to be AI specific. It's just happening faster. But if you're being informed by your business and the people that surround it, that you're going this direction, but really what's going and is interesting is this thing,
Mm-hmm.
then that's a forked path that if you know, are just stuck in the, I'm going to make that thing work, won't allow you to have the opportunity to find the thing that may be the magic.
Exactly. Yeah. As my mother always taught me growing up, which is in different contexts, but she was just like, don't force it. Just Laura, don't force it. And so if you're continuing down the path and all the signals are telling you, too often, like as a founder or a business owner, you're passionate and you kind of get tunnel vision. And so leaning on communities and support and educating yourself and making sure that you have, a personal and professional board of governors that can help you and AI mechanisms gathering signal, then you can not have that tunnel vision. And it can be deeply rooted in both qualitative and quantitative data of where you need to go next.
All right, so now we want to get into nuts and bolts. We'll
Woo.
call this segment Nuts and Bolts with Laura Wheeler. To use AI, see, this is where I think so
Mm-hmm.
often the ethereal
Mm.
notion of what's going on and the real, how do I do anything with it, gets lost entirely. So
Yep.
let's say I'm somebody who's heard AI over and over and over again. And now I'm sitting and I'm listening to another podcast talking about the incredible things that it can do. You
Mm-hmm.
use Claude. So Anthropic is the company, and Claude is the large language model that does all kinds of things like program and design and all those sorts of things. I go sign on to one of those, which is easy enough to do and find. But then where do I start? Let's say I have my taco truck, because we'll go back to our taco truck example from the last time you were on SmarterUmedia. So
Yeah.
I have my taco truck and I know I can be better. How am I going to go
Mm-hmm.
now that I've downloaded any of the large language models, but let's just say Claude, and I am ready to use it? Where do I start? How do I start that dialogue?
Yeah. Woo. A
You're
couple of
welcome.
different. Yeah. Well, but this is, I also want to caveat, like, I am not an AI expert. If you are constantly feeling behind, you are not alone. I feel behind as well. This is a safe space. Now,
It
so
is.
where I would start, because too often you're going to, like you said, listen to a podcast, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get into AI. How? Okay. One, there's now a bagillion AI courses. I probably wouldn't start there unless you are the type of person that learns from a course. And no shame and no game. I'm just saying, you need to understand how you learn. And so whether that's by doing, by courses, by peers, whatever. Okay. So you go to your LLM and you have to understand that there are a couple of factors in play. One, an LLM is only as good as the information that you point it towards. I will say that again. An LLM is only as good as the information that you point it towards or that you are feeding to it. So this is where and I will preach. Maybe if I ever get a tattoo in my life, I might like put document everything as like a tattoo. This is so true for LLMs. So you come in and as a taco truck, you have an idea of who your ideal customer profile is. You know how people find you. You have books, you have P&L statements, you have everything, and while it might not be as sophisticated as, maybe a tech company capturing this digitally, hopefully you are. And so what you're going to do is you're taking all of this information, every action that your business takes is a piece of data, and you are connecting it into one centralized place that is proprietary to you. This is your food truck. You are unlocking the secrets, and you pull it together. Now, where to pull it together? I don't even care if it's in a Google spreadsheet or if it's multiple Google spreadsheets, but some sort of columnar database, headings, rows, to where you can pull this together. Doesn't even, the beautiful nature doesn't even have to be structured, which I love. That's what AI is helping with. Used to have to be structured. See you later, ETL, which you can look up later because I don't actually know what it stands for. But it's, yeah, anyway.
You're incorrigible. Okay.
I am. So you're pulling everything together and then pointing the LLM to this and saying, and then just asking it questions. But first, you have to understand you also, in these models, need to tell it who it needs to be. So you're saying, hey, LLM, I want you to be my business partner. I want you to scrutinize the spin that we're having. And I have a universal prompt of how I want the LLM to interrogate my data. It is, here is who we are. This is what I stand for. This is my tone. I don't want you to assume anything. You ask me questions. That's actually one that you should definitely have in your prompt, which is, if you don't understand anything, don't assume, because the LLM will assume and it will like fill in the blanks. And so you have this universal prompt of how you want it to be your business partner. And then you have said database. And then you are the person in between here that gets to interrogate that data. And it's now a 2 and 1 here. So now you're bringing the human aspect, and this LLM kind of business partner in the back end is now interrogating your data in a way that would take us forever to do. And it's returning a result. And now you can have a conversation. Now, is information missing? Great, go get it. Is information missing? Go collect it. So that's where you can start, like where you can get started. Very lower level entry there, but even that, it was really hard to comprehend until I actually did it.
Yes. And doing it is a big deal. You get on there and don't and sort of don't feel like you have to do it perfectly today.
No,
Don't
yeah.
feel like you will do it perfectly tomorrow, but I'm going to go through these steps that I think you just outlined because they're really great as a starting place. So I'm now going to take my taco truck. I just love that we're back on the tacos.
Me
In
too.
fact, we're going to
It's,
have to
yeah,
start our own taco truck just for this reason.
I
But
love it.
you go and you're saying, okay, I feel like it could be better. That's
Mm-hmm.
simple.
Sure.
But to be better, I'm going to take as much information as I can get. I'm going to put it in a place in some sort of document form that will allow me to upload it, which you
Mm-hmm.
can do to the large language models. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to load those things in just as much sort of as I can. Going to I'm going to go back one step. So first, I'm going to have a introduction prompt, and a
Mm-hmm.
prompt just means I'm typing or now talking to the large language model if you want to use the speech version, but
Yeah.
you can do that. And there are lots of places that you can probably find good prompts. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to twist Laura's arm and ask her if she'll give us as much of her information for a
Mm-hmm.
prompt that's a general prompt that we can put in below, so you can give your thoughts and comments and the like. But so start out by saying, here's our task and here's who you are and who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Here's data. Here's stuff that I can find and I can give to you. And number 3 is kind of, here's what I think I'd like to do. Right.
Yeah.
And that goal sort of being, we currently I've given you all this information and we're selling X amount today. We feel like we could do better than that. Let's have a dialogue. And that's where you start. I mean,
Hmm.
it's sort of like hiring a consultant like RVNU.
Hey, no, I'm just kidding.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
really is.
the
Yes,
process so that you're
yes.
you're going and you first you would have to walk into Laura's office and you would have to sit down and say, okay, so here all of those
Hmm.
steps we just outlined, you'd still have to do that. So you're doing that, you start down the path and then you see how that helps and understand that you're gonna really not like it every time. You're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Or well, not like it. It also might yield the
You're not gonna
wrong
like the
result.
response. It's not gonna do it the right way. It's not gonna be you. And
Right.
that takes some time.
It really
It's not
does.
gonna be you. It's gonna be
Yeah.
annoying, right?
Yeah. And I do think that the initial, like, first step is the infrastructure. The second step is getting the LLM to learn. And so we will all make mistakes in prompting, and it'll be like, that's not really what I was looking for. And so, but you're learning. It actually taught me to be a better communicator, as I got better at prompting, because I then took out all the filler words and I just said, not like, please, can you create an outline? I'm just like, create an outline. There's no please or thank yous. It's just, please, like, no. And so, if you don't get it right first, that is totally fine. It probably took me like 20 iterations of going back and learning how to prompt, not just from the universal prompt, because that thing will start to learn, but from a, what am I asking it, and how am I asking it to get to the end result of what I'm looking for? So that now you have this infrastructure, and what you can say is, instead of, okay, well, let's start to talk to it, now you just say, I need to increase revenues by 20%. What are your ideas of how I'm going to do that? And now it has all this history. It might come back with something bogus, but it might come back with something good. But as a human, it would take us a very long time to potentially put those signals together. It will tell you why, it will ask you more questions, and then you get to, as a human, say yes or no. I'm going to go do this or not. And that's where it can be a really good business partner to you.
Use it for what works and,
Yeah.
don't throw it out too early is all I would
No,
say.
no.
The
Yeah.
baby and bathwater equation in the early stages, I've heard people say, yeah, it's just so terrible at, and I believe worth you taking the time to have your education and its education come together enough so you have some of those epiphany moments to
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the more you use it, this is the whole reason why it exists. It is learning you and how you talk and your business. And so give it the proper things to learn. Um, and it can also connect to the World Wide Web too. So this doesn't have to just be proprietary. And then that begs the question of, the the LLM is also crawling mil- trillions of data points externally. If you turn that on, I'm just saying there is a thing to turn it off, and you can just do it in this little realm. But if you do, then that is both an internal business partner, and then you start to think about, how am I showing up as my business externally? And when I am going back to that Costa Rica thing, if I was the resort, so that's my business, or the Airbnb, place that I'm renting out in this small town of Costa Rica, and I know it's on the beach and it's perfect for first time surfers, then I better dang well have that information on my website, public facing, so someone can find me in a result. And so that's where it gets really interesting, because yes, business partner, but also there's a whole world out there where AI is now working for you and bringing you business, or helping you become a thought leader and surfacing up your expertise, your service you're offering to the world to find you.
It's doing that or not, depending
Or,
on,
yeah, yeah, or
right?
not. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And why wouldn't you want to optimize for that?
Well, you
So,
better, because as you said, so many of us are going away from the search engine to the large language model and doing the search there. So in the same way, this is why I asked the question earlier, which is, is it not just going to find a way to be gamed? Because that is the way it works. And so we're
Fair.
certainly all, if we want to reach customers, going to be working on the way to make it as frustrating as it is doing a Google search for cars. I mean,
Oh my
if you do a
gosh.
Google search for cars, you have just lost, the next chunk of your life to everything that will come back at you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
um, wonky and sort of next steps, which is AI is doing its thing and what the impact is going to be on sort of the marketplace that I'm in. Any
Mm.
guidance you can give me on, starting either a dialogue with AI or my own real sort of research to be as adept as I can at survival techniques.
Yeah. So everywhere you turn, there is another post, another newsletter, another everything on AI. I will send two articles that I have read this week that really I feel like finally got into my brain about how to learn about the learning progression personally of AI. So where am I at in my AI journey? One is from Zapier, if you're familiar with that tool, which has been on the forefront of really, I wouldn't say LLM, but creation behind the scenes. And they just put out a kind of your state of AI. So where you're at in your journey, it's fantastic. Um, and so there are a couple of articles there, and then there's a fantastic Substack AI article or newsletter that goes out, and I subscribe to it. So I will also link that one. I've found that there's like I said, a lot of noise out there, but these are the ones that really boil it down into the simplest of terms that are way more universal, and it's a really good starting point. So I'm also reading this a really great book, which I'm sure people have heard about it, but it's called The Cold Start Problem by Andrew Chen. So he was at Uber and he talks about it's not really, I mean, sure it's more business focused, but when we think about the concept of what he wrote about in this cold start, like starting a business, starting the network effects, which apparently is buzzword, it really hits to the core of um, how you build, why you build, and now in this new age of AI, you can kind of layer in on top of what he's saying. And so it's really, really interesting. So I'll link both of those articles, the newsletter and the book. So
That's great. That's
yeah.
fantastic. I feel like I'm
Woo.
smarter yet again. You just need to come back all the time, Laura, to make me smarter, not just in 2 minutes, but every minute of it. I felt like I was
Oh,
learning new acronyms and all
no.
kinds of things. Oh.
Yeah. Mm.
um, it is so great to have you here. Laura Wheeler, RVNU, continuing to help us navigate companies, entrepreneurship, and honestly, our very lives.
Yeah.
Will you come back for a third time sometime?
If you will have me, absolutely.
Great to see you.
You too. Thanks.
Well, another first on Smarter You Media. The after conversation was so compelling
Oh
that
my
we just
gosh.
had to come back. I mean, Laura, you're just too much. So we're going to get right back on so that you can give us a little more of the background of what RVNU is doing on the AI side on your platform.
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting conversation as we were talking about capturing signals within the business and pivoting and what's next from a product or an offering or distribution, whatever. Um, so when we launched RVNU, we initially started out with an assessment that it was about 70 questions, a little cumbersome,
Mm,
manually put together.
right.
And it was really a source for us to scope where like our clients or our customers were at. It was a piece of data collection, and it was really kind of revered in the market of we need to understand where you're at. So
Right.
fast forward a year and a half, we've gained all this signal, and not just signal from capturing data as to where our customers and clients are at, but signal on how manual this process was. I mean,
Yeah.
talk about getting the results. It had zaps in the back. It is alerting me here. I am manually updating a chart. I'm like, there has to be a better way. Now, did AI exist? Yes, but not as prolific as it was. And so what we did was we said that we can't be doing this anymore. This is one, not how our customers or clients want to be, want to answer questions now. It's 70 questions. They're falling off at 34, being like, yo, this is not good. And it was hard for us to kind of keep up and start to put these things together. Now, beforehand, I would have probably hired someone and done it and then just like gone about my merry way. That's just burning, more
Right.
money. But what we did was we actually just reworked our assessment into, get a load of this, 17 questions total.
70 to 17.
Yeah, look at those
Wow.
efficiencies. And what we are doing is what we've learned about the answers to the questions, the engagements that we've had, the cohorting them by their funding and what their title is and how they answer the questions. Now, what we've built is our own mini little prompt LLM that
Hmm.
scores all of these questions together. And now, not only is it shorter and a better experience for our potential prospects or clients, but now it takes the burden off of us and it is fully automated on the
Hmm.
back, and it's serving up actual insights to those questions that is better than the last one. And
Wow.
so it doesn't take a human like Laura or my co-founder Wayne to say, wow, let's look at the data and let's figure out what we're going to tell them.
Yeah.
It scrolls our proprietary information based on their scores, based on who they are, and it spits out 5 different insights of where they're at within their go-to-market journey.
Oh,
And they don't even have to talk with us. And so we're actually launching that next week. So we'll see what kind of signal we gain on that,
right.
positive or negative. But it's a really exciting time where we're bringing AI to help us be more efficient and to futuristically put an offering together to see if this is a product that we can offer. So
Oh, that's pretty great. Is that something that we can go to and be part of your
absolutely.
beta test? So how do I get
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. So it will spit out a score called go to market score. And so it's go to market score.ai, and it's already out there. We just haven't really hard launched it yet.
Okay.
So happy to give the link out, and then all you have to do is take it. It takes about 5 minutes.
Go to market score.ai. We'll put it in over the screen so you can see it too. But that was just too good an example of what we've been talking about, not to get back in. So look at
Yeah.
that. We promise we're done. We're not going to come back again. We're going to say goodbye. This is it. You won't get to see Laura. You won't have us to kick around anymore. See ya.